Okay, let's get started on the next bit of software we're going to get downloaded and install. The one we're going to do this time is Scid versus PC, which is the one of the GUIs you can use. Now, obviously, when we looked at the engines last time, you can't really do much with an engine by itself, right? What you really need is a front end or a GUI which connects to the engine, so it will give it positions, calculate positions, go through a game, and so on. The GUI also lets you do a lot of other things. You know, often these GUIs, they have a sort of database functionality, so you can store your games, you can search for games. So it's what most chess programmers will use, or chess players will use. Now, the big daddy out there is ChessBase, but obviously we're looking at the open source ones. I'm going to do Scid versus PC and ChessX. They're two GUIs which I've used. There are others which I may look at later. So let's just go through the steps here of getting the code for Scid versus PC on your own computer, because this one's actually, you may be able to make some alterations to it to make it work the way you want it. Right, so first thing to do is to get our Linux box up and running again. You notice one thing I've done here. We've got this ChessNix 1, I think you remember the name from last time, and I made a clone of it. Let's have a look. You do this by going up here, machine clone, and it just makes a direct copy of it. And the idea here is that if I do something wrong as I'm doing this, I just go back to the clone and start off from there again, right? So anyway, let's fire up ChessNix. Powering the virtual machine up. Let's see which window it's going to turn up on. Okay, turning up over there, which is good. Put password in. Right, okay, so we need to get the source code. Now, if you remember, Stockfish used Git. Scid versus PC does not. So we need to go to Firefox. Their one is on SourceForge, which is a bit different. You just search for that in Firefox, it should come up, PC, right? Now the difference is that Git is really a, actually that wasn't what I wanted. We need to get to SourceForge. Bear with me for a second. Okay, this is what I wanted, right? For Stockfish, Git it's all versioning control and all that sort of stuff, whereas Scid's mainly controlled by a few guys who are managing it. The source is all here, and rather than doing Git pulls and things, you just go along, you go over to code, and you do download a snapshot. That's what it's called. So let's download a snapshot. Go ahead with that. See, downloading. It's not very big. Thing about Scid versus PC and ChessX is because they're GUI front ends and they're cross-platform. So they both had to use different cross-platform tools for being able to, manage putting things on the screen, managing the clicks and the mouse overs and all that sort of stuff. So that gives you the cross-platform functionality, but it means we have to download this thing. In Scid versus PC's case, it's called TCL/TK. Right, okay, so let us open up the, it's already opened up down here. So there is all the source code. So the thing to do here might be, well, we're in files, we'll just copy that, copy, and then I'll go over to home, and remember putting everything here inside chess, and we'll just paste. Okay, so we've got Scid versus PC. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this folder without the version of it. I don't think we need that. It's called Scid versus PC. Okay, good. So now to download it, okay, next thing to do is to build. So let's see what happens. Now, as usual, I am going to go into a terminal. You can find where it's hiding. Let's close this. Box, and it pops you up. Let me close something over here, it's distracting me. Oh, no. Apologies. Okay, so we are in chess rule. We go into chess, CD to chess, and now CD to SCID versus PC. Okay. Now, if you do, the idea is you run this thing called .configure, and it's not going to work. / current directory, because you can see you can't find these TCL files, right? So, but once again, it's a cross-platform thing. If you're doing some Windows, you get the Windows version of it. So what you have to do is sudo superuser apt install, which is the install functionality. We need TCL 8.6/dev. That's the password. Anything changes. Okay, we want to install it. Capital Y. Now, we also, that was TCL. We also need, up arrow bring this back, we also need TK. The dev one is the one that has the the source code files which get used, the definitions, .h's and so on in C++. Right. Now, let's try .configure. Okay. Make file configure for system was written. Now type make. So configure actually sets it all up, and now you just do make. So now you're doing the normal thing. Oh, okay. So that was a bit silly. Make is a system program, so I don't need the dot in front of it. So just do make, and now what it will do, it will compile all the C++ programs. Now you can see there are a lot of errors here, but they're all warnings, right? So it goes through this, and then when it's finished, it actually, although you got lots of warnings in there, will have actually compiled the program. So you can see that actually this program is a combination of things. It's the C programs, and then it's the scripts. TCL is basically TCL and TK kind of scripts which it runs for controlling, as I said, the input and output elements of the system. So that shouldn't take too much longer. Okay, so that's finished. Let's have a look. You can see now there is a where is the source? SCID, I think, is the one. Let's just try running SCID. Here we go, running. Okay, cool. So we'll just have a quick look at this. I think it looks like a lot of things in terms of GUIs. You can move your pieces. You can mark squares. You can draw arrows. Right. I don't really go through all of this, but then you can, if you want to change some of the settings here, you open up the comment editor. Just make the screen a bit bigger so we can see it more clearly. Go to comment editor, and then right, it hasn't brought up. Well, here we go. This is what I expected to bring up. And you can, here's your default color. Maybe make it orange instead, and then so now when you do the square, you get an orange square, right? Now, that's kind of the way it works. I don't have a database set up. Maybe I'll get Kesa database loaded in. What would you do with the SCID? I'll just close that for a second. You can have a look at so the source, if you look at the directory listing, the source is in SRC. There's a couple of other programs here. SCID PGN, which you feed in a PGN file and it turns into a database which SCID uses, which is much faster. SCID will work with a PGN file, but it works much faster when you're doing a database. Now, so what I want to do here is just say, well, actually, yeah, maybe you want to change something. So let's go to the TCL listing. And you see this is a bunch of TCL, which is like script files, which help the C++ link in and be able to control the screen. Now, if I go into this one, I did this before, so I'll go into n.ccl and look for something like a button, right? Add marker. Add marker. Okay, so this is what I get to. So this is what I'm saying. This is a script that says this is when you're on the board, bind the key, shift button press 1 to add marker with this color, right? Which that just changed the default color. So what I've done in some of these is I just copy that line, YY, copy one line, copy line 2. So button press 1 is left mouse, button press 2 is the press down on your wheel, and button press 3 is right mouse. Now, I'm talking in a sort of a Windows and even sort of Linux concept there where you've got a 3-button mouse. I'm not too sure how that would work on an Apple, which is part of the thing about what was I going to say? Cross-platform functionality. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this out. Mark color was that orange, blue to orange I changed. Let's put another color in here. We want red. D, close. So give that a run. So that should be shift, left, and right mouse click is red. So you don't have to do configure again, we just have to do make. Oh, we have to go back, as in you have to be in this directory to run it. Then it's run, and then we run scid. And then now shift red, and then shift left one is orange, right? And it's just a sort of thing that if you wanted to sort of make some changes, you get an idea of how the code works. That's got nothing to do with the chess side of it. It's just showing you this way of changing the what the GUI does for you. And you can see what it's doing here. It's actually putting these in the comment section. You move up, right? Let's go here. There you go. Shift there. It says draw dark orange 1. And if I right click, it says draw red. And if you want to do an arrow, you go control click and control click, and there's the arrow, and that's from B5 to G5. So yeah, it gives an idea what you're doing. Cool. Okay, good. So that's all I really wanted to cover here. You can see that with Scid versus PC, a couple of things to know. You go to SourceForge, get the source code. You need to download a couple of packages, which is relying upon, and then you configure it, and then you make it. And you can fiddle around with, I fiddle around with TCL files. Of course, you can fiddle around with the C++ programs as well. And this would probably become, in terms of this or ChessX, it's the GUI that you'll be using open source. Actually, we'll look at it later. Lichess, actually, their GUI, although it's online, is also technically open source and also very useful. Okay, thank you for watching.